Hey, everybody. I want to welcome you back to the Confident Retirement Podcast brought to you by LPF Advisors. I'm your host here, Chris Flaming. Joining me are my co-host, Colin and Armando. We have a new face, a new voice this time who will help us break it all down. They are both credentialed financial advisors within our ecosystem here at LPF Advisors. And today we're diving into a topic that should be one of the first priorities in anyone's financial situation, and that is having an emergency fund. So everybody's heard of this. We all know we should have one, but let's be real. It can be hard to actually get started to know how much to have in an emergency fund and where to keep it. So today we're going to answer some of the most common questions that people have about emergency funds. We'll jump right in right after this disclaimer. The information we provide is our opinion and not necessarily that of our firm or this platform. We provide general information only on the podcast and not any customized investment advice. Nothing should be construed as financial, tax, or legal advice. You should consult with your own professionals about your personal situation. Okay, Colin, let's get started.
Yes, sir. Chris, thanks for the introduction. Armando, so going to the emergency funds, why do we need an emergency fund in the first place?
Yeah, great question. Thanks, Chris and Colin, for having me. So here's the deal. Life can throw curveballs. Your car breaks down, medical bills pop up, or even worse, you lose your job. Having an emergency fund means you don't have to rely on credit cards or personal loans to cover those unexpected expenses. Your emergency fund is your safety net to help you handle life surprises without sinking into debt. But it's important to have a clear idea of what constitutes as a true emergency.
Yes, that's important.
It's a good point, Armando. So what constitutes as an emergency?
Yeah, like Chris said, this question is really important. Your emergency fund should only be used for emergencies. As cliche as that sounds, that is the key to this goal. Think things like car repairs, medical bills, or job loss. It's not for things like a new phone, a weekend getaway, or a shopping spree. Keep your fund focused on the real unexpected costs because that's what it's there for.
That's a really good point. So how much should I have in my emergency fund?
Yeah, that's another great question. I mean, it really depends where you are in life. Industry experts have varied opinions when it comes to the amount because, like I said, it's unique. Whether if you're single, married, kids or no kids, W-2 or self-employed, or even how close you are to retirement, that all can have an impact on the amount. A good rule of thumb is to have about 3 to 6 months of living expenses set aside, and if you can, all your deductibles. This can feel overwhelming, but don't worry. You don't have to hit that goal all at once. So start small. Maybe even a $500 or $1,000 can be a lifesaver for smaller emergencies. And once you hit that goal, you can start building towards a bigger one. And just start somewhere, and you'll be amazed at how quickly it grows.
And I want to tag on there to what Armando said, depending on situations. So if you're self-employed or you're a W-2 employee, as he mentioned, that could have a big impact on the amount, as well as if you are how close you are to retirement. So oftentimes we'll suggest our retired clients or somebody who's close to retirement have even emergency fund or a cushion that's beyond that 6 months. So we can go through that with people when we meet with them. But as Armando said, it really depends on each person's unique situation.
Right. So then, Armando, should we keep emergency fund or our emergency fund in the same account as my checking account?
No, you definitely don't want to do that, and that's a big mistake I see. I mean, it's so easy to access in a checking account. You're thinking about buying a new pair of shoes. It's right there. You have the money. Why not do it? It's very important to keep this emergency fund separate from your checking account. So think of things like maybe a high yield savings account or a money market account. Those are both easy to access in emergency, but not right there in your checking account, ready for impulse buys. The psychological trick of having it held separately will help you a lot.
Got it. So if I use my emergency fund, how do I rebuild it?
Yeah, life happens. And I mean, as long as you're using it on, true emergencies and those unexpected costs, I mean, that's what it's there for. So, but we would like to see you rebuild that as soon as possible. So treat it like any other savings goals and get back to setting money aside, even if it means cutting back on other things for a month or two, like maybe those Chick-fil-A runs, those Door Dashes, just lower those expenses for that month just to help you get it back topped off that you're at that amount where you feel comfortable just in case when the next emergency happens.
Got it. Awesome. So any tips for making it easier to build my emergency fund?
Yeah, of course. I mean, the easiest way, in my opinion, is just to save by automating it. So set up an automatic transfer every time you get paid. Even if it's just $25, $50, or $100, you won't even notice it. And because you're saving before you spend, you're more likely to stick with it. Trust me, once you get in the habit, it'll be easier to keep going and building that fund up and up.
Awesome. What advice do you have for folks? I feel like I'll never reach my goal, or what if it feels too overwhelming?
Yeah, I mean, we hear that with not just with emergency funds, but life in general and other goals. So, I mean, I totally get that. It can be tough to look at a big number, but don't get discouraged. Start small and celebrate the wins along the way, because every little bit counts. And trust me, once you hit your goal, you'll feel so much secure knowing you got that cushion in place to rely on. And I promise it's totally worth the effort, and you'll be inspired to stick with other financial goals you have set out for yourself.
Awesome. That's a good place to close it up. We've got some inspiration. We know where the money is supposed to be held, how to build it, and we've answered the really important question, what is a true emergency? So that's a wrap today on our podcast about emergency funds. I hope this helps you feel a little more confident about getting started. It doesn't have to be huge at first. Start small, automate, and make it a priority. You'll be glad you did when life's emergencies come your way. And if you have any questions about this or any of the financial topics, feel free to reach out to us using lpfadvisors.com or our email, info@lpfadvisors.com. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast and share the episode if you found it helpful. Thanks for tuning in today. We'll see you next time. Until then, take care and be well. Armando and Colin, thanks a lot, fellas.
Yep, thank you.
Thanks for having us.
You've been listening to the Confident Retirement Podcast with Chris and Mark from LPF Advisors. For more information on them and retiring confidently, please visit lpfadvisors.com. If your ears are pleased and your mind is now at ease, do share the program with your friends and subscribe wherever podcasts are found.